Things are becoming very expensive, yet the income we are making is not increasing in any way. Hi friends, welcome back to my channel, the place to be for everything personal growth, securing the bag, holistic health, wellness, and so much more. Basically becoming the best version of yourself. Today's video is going to be a money video. I actually really love these videos because they help me stay accountable, and I've been meaning to create one of these expense videos, but procrastination has been whooping my ass. Anyway, better late than never. Let's get started. I'm a very firm believer that you cannot start budgeting or planning anything to do with your money if you do not have a hold of your expenses. If you do not know what you're spending money on, then budgeting becomes very difficult. So every time I'm in that budgeting phase where I feel like I need to watch my money, like I've been saying lately in all my videos, things are becoming very expensive, yet the income we are making is not increasing in any way. So it's very important to be mindful of your spending habit. And in today's video, I'm going to share with you my planned expenses as opposed to my actual expenses for the month of January, which has actually helped me see and kind of gauge where I can improve and all that stuff. So without further ado, let's get started. I had to get my journal. A very important thing to note is that I keep a running sheet of expenses in my journal that just basically tracks all the expenses, things I'm spending on during the week, and I update it every week so that I'm not overwhelmed at the end of the month. So what I do is just write it down here, as you can see, the date, description, the amount, whether it's a want or a need. This process is actually a very mindful process that helps me know that, oh my god, I'm actually spending more on things that I want, not that I actually need. I'm not trying to restrict the things that I want for myself. I'm not trying to punish myself. I'm just mindful of the fact that I'm always consuming things, and this is the world that we live in these days. It's just the consumption world where we're always consuming non-stop and not stopping to think whether we actually need these things or just want these things, you know. After putting everything in my journal, I put them in my computer, which I have an Excel sheet. I've shared it with you guys in a previous video. I will link it down below. It's basically a balance sheet that helps you balance the money that is coming in with the expenses. One thing I do with my Excel sheets is categorize each and everything that I'm spending on. In my categories right now, I have rent, insurance, utilities, internet, transport, Uber, moving, and house stuff. If I need to buy anything for my house, it goes in that category. I have food, emergencies, personal stuff, recreational stuff, you know, plant medicine and things. Debt, if I have any debt, eating out, bank charges, fun with friends, you go out, buy drinks, all them things goes under fun with friends. Savings and Madame Bay. If you do not know, Madame Bay is my business. I do have expenses that I incur normally but are taken out of my account, and I want to be mindful of those, so I put them under Madame Bay so that Madame Bay can pay me, like website charges, subscriptions, and all that stuff. So let's go through all these expenses. We're just going to start with my current actual expenses, and in a later video as this goes on, I will share with you the income I get against my expenses, and you will see how that framework works. For now, I want to just go step by step. So as you can see here, for my expenses, I plan to spend $4,078 every month, but technically I do not spend this much. This is just a plan, and this plan helps me know how much money needs to come in for me to be living comfortably every month, although I spend less than this. January was a bit of a different month because I had a lot of expenses. I wanted to gift my family and friends some stuff during the holidays, and because of that, of course, my expenses went a little bit higher than usual. But as you can see, everything in red means I went overboard. So we're just going to look at the summary before looking at the actual details. And for the summary, you can see for insurance, originally I was paying $33 for insurance, but it went up to $35, so that's why the negative came in. For transportation, last year the metro was $90.50 every month for moving around everywhere with the bus, the train, everything. And then of course from summer, I think from like May up until December, I was taking the bike, and I didn't realize that the price of transportation had gone up. It's gone up by $4. It was originally $90.50, and now it's 94 something, 94.50 I believe. And the other thing that's in negative is Uber. It's a negative because I told myself I'm going to take as less Ubers as possible, so I do not allocate a budget for that. $44 was not so bad for Uber, and I'm pretty sure these were all urgent matters. We can go in depth and check in my transactions. Once you click on transactions and filter by Uber, what you're going to find is I went ice plunging. You saw the previous video. I went to do an ice plunge and I was going to be late, so I took an Uber back and forth. Sorry, work phone calls. I'm currently on call and I keep, receiving work phone calls that I actually do have to take. Anyway, where was I? So I was talking about Uber. The first ice plunge I did this year was on the 7th of January, and can I just tell you, I was not mentally strong to do it, and for me, taking an Uber kind of convinced me. Of course, the 1-2 was because I was late. I'm always late. But then the one back, I was too cold and I'm like, bro, I cannot take the bus right now. I cannot take the metro. I'm just going to get into an Uber. And that's where these Uber expenses came from. The other one, I was going to work and I was going to be late. I had to go train someone. So I did not know whether I had to be there on time or not. In order to take all the uncertainties away, I took an Uber. Those are the only 3 times I took an Uber, which is pretty good for me. The next category I have is house and moving stuff, where I spent $229. Now for house and moving stuff, it's everything that I buy for my house, like decoration, a table or whatever. And I have this portrait that I took on my birthday. This portrait cost me a good amount of money. I didn't tell you exactly how much in the video, but all I know is that I have to keep paying $114 every month, and I did not want to pay it all at once, so I agreed to do payment in installments. And after that, I'm like, bro, why did I decide to do that? Because it's pretty and all that, but what if I want to change the art and I pay $2,000 for it? Do not impulse buy things. I impulse did it on my birthday and I'm like, oh my god, I'm turning 33, no, let me spend on that. I spent on it. I really love it, but I believe I could have spent that $100 once and bought some really nice art one time. So be mindful of the things that you spend on. I'm not complaining. I like my art piece. At least I will say, oh my god, even me, I did a naked shoot, you know what I mean, in my lifetime. So I don't feel bad for that spending. But the reason why it's doubled here is because I apparently missed my December payment, so they moved it on into January. That's why I'm above my budget for that. When it comes to food, I was within budget. I'm going to be doing more food videos for you guys, whereby I share with you my actual spendings and how I make sure that I do not spend so much on food. I spent $97 on food in January. My budget for food every month is $200, but I spent $97, so I saved in that area. Emergencies, I spent $28 on emergencies, and I believe this $28 is actually not an emergency. This was definitely a personal expense, which directly segues into my personal expenses. I give myself a budget of $100 every month to do like my nails, personal things, because I allocate money to each and everything. So these things here and there, like nails, I give myself $100. I don't do my nails every month, but last month I had a lot of personal things to buy for my family. That is why I'm over my budget by $300. I spent exactly $400 on buying presents and things for my family. In December, it was even more than this. But like these 2 months or the past couple of months, I've been spending so much money, and most of it has been going to family, friends, things like that. Previously, in the past couple of years, I was not spending on anyone, my family and friends. So this time, the fact that I have my shit together financially, I felt the need to gift my family and friends, which is what I did. It made me feel good, and yeah, so I did it. But I've made the conscious decision to not do that again unless it's an emergency. For now, it's not like forever. For now, I need to mind my expenses, so I'm not going to be doing that. Recreation, I spent only $9, which is a very good thing. I'm trying to do away with these bad habits. Recreation means plant medicine, and if you know what that is, you know what that is. I'm not gonna explain myself. Debt, I did not pay anything for my debt, and seeing my expenses, I could have paid things for my debt, which I didn't do. I have a debt of $1,282, and I have time to pay this debt. It's not like a serious debt. It's like one of those I can give $100 here and there, but I need to take it out of the way because I hate debts. I really hate debts. And then eating out, I spent $8 on eating out, which is wow. I was good in the month of January. I did not eat out a lot. I do not calculate things like going to the cafe and working, because that is a Madame Bay expense. I'm going to the cafe to edit videos and do stuff like that, because if I sit down here, I'm not going to do anything. And if you've watched all my other videos, You see how I struggle with procrastination, self-sabotage. Staying in this little studio apartment environment kind of does not help. So going out is a Madame Bay expense. So yeah, I did well when it came to eating out. Bank charges, I went over by $2, and the reason why I went over by bank charges is because I had to tap into some of my savings accounts. Like I told you, I am those people that budget my money to the T, that if I spend anything beyond, like I'm buying gifts or presents for someone, I'm going to get it from my savings, because that's what I save for, and it's not in my allocated budget. So yes, the bank charges me those little extra bank overdrafts and things like that, which is why I hate using my bank, by the way. That's why I love Koho, you guys. I love Koho. I'll talk about Koho a little bit later. The next thing is fun with friends. Every time I go out, drinks and all them things, I'm above that, because some of the expenses that I had in December came over to January for some reason in my bank statement, and they were taken out of my January income, which is when I went to Edmonton. You saw the vlog, you know, spending, going out, buying drinks and all them things. That money of fun with friends is the reason why I'm $126 over my fun with friends budget, which is $100 most months. This is my fund for going out, buying drinks and things like that. I do not want to spend money on buying drinks. If it's an experience of, oh, we went and did like painting and whatever, which is something I'm going to be doing actually a lot of, instead of spending money on drinks, doing more productive things where you go and network with people, like-minded people and things like that, as opposed to buying drinks, dancing all night. And then, don't get me wrong, I enjoy dancing, I'll still do that. I just want to be more, you know, out there. I need to meet new people and people that like the things that I like, not just people at the club that you dance with and then after that you have nothing in common. Tu comprends? The last category is savings. I saved $750. I always do this thing whereby on the money I give myself to spend, I want to save on my spending. So I budget to save $200 on that, but I saved $550. And for Madame Bay, I spent $107. This doesn't really matter in my expenses because I paid it to myself back. I just keep it here to be more mindful. Now, the way all this is computed is that I have a transactions tab. Like I told you, I write down everything I spend on a weekly basis. I write it down in my journal to be mindful and then put it on my computer to have all these computed and generated for me without me having to manually do it. It just makes my work a lot easier. So I input all my expenses. It calculates for me whatever I've spent in which category. So for the categories that I've spent over, if I want to see what I've been spending on, I just go and filter by category. Here, if I go on personal, this is what it will tell me. I spent money buying tights at Shoppers Drug Mart. This is in Edmonton. Which other personal expense did I have? I bought some presents for my family. I bought probiotics, which is, these are all personal expenses. That's why my personal expenses were high this month. But yeah, doing this just helps you have a clearer view on how you're spending your money, where you're spending your money, so that for the next month you're just more mindful. You're like, oh, if I spent a lot more money on drinks, every time I go to buy drinks, I know that, oh my god, these little drinks, they cost like $5, $10, but those things add up. Let's say I decide to eat out today. It's only $20 today, but yo, can we just talk about how expensive eating out is? Just a meal from McDonald's, just a combo plate for everything, delivery, it comes up to like $22. You're like, oh my god, McDonald's is $22. Wow. The reason why I track my expenses is because it keeps me mindful. Let's talk about Koho briefly. Koho is an online bank. I've told you about it previously. I'm just going to tell you briefly what it is. I downloaded the app. So when you download the app, it's like a real bank. The only good thing about Koho is that it does not charge me for any bank overdrafts. It does not charge me for all these little bank charges. It doesn't. And I'm always going beyond my budget. I'm always in negative. But guess what? They don't charge those extra bank fees the way your regular bank does. That is the reason I enjoy using my Koho for my expenses, because as long as I spend using that card, I'm not going to be charged for extra bank charges. Last month I had so many bank charges because of bank overdrafts, spending money from different accounts that I don't usually do, which cost me $2 more than what I budget for. Because if I'm not mistaken, my bank charges are $14 or $15, so all the rest was just extra, you know, bank charges that I'm not supposed to be charged. But because I'm using these regular banks, that's why I get charged all these -4, -2, -3 point what for. It's too much. Anyway, I just wanted to share with you what I spend my money on in this video, just so it can remind you to stay mindful of your spending habits, because things are becoming more expensive now. Like I said earlier, I like knowing what my planned expenses are, even if I'm not going to spend all that much money, because when I'm planning my month or where my money is going to come from, that is how I know if I'm not making that number, then I need to look for where it's bringing in the money. And that's just it. No hard feelings. That's just simply it. That little process that takes very few minutes of your time every month helps you figure out if you need to make financial changes in your life. So I encourage you to do it for yourself. See if you need to make some financial changes, get a new job. If you're okay, if you're perfect where you are, then you don't have to make any changes. That's just, you know, I'm just saying, lucky for you. So I hope you found this video helpful. As always, do not forget to stay motivated, be patient, trust the process, and spread the love. I'll see you in the next one. Bye, my loves.